Yes, man, Between the Liners, I'm your host Adnan. Manchester United have drawn 2-2 at home to Leeds United, unfortunately, in the same week as the 65th anniversary of the Munich Air tragedy. Although we haven't come away with a win, at least we've shown some spirit and managed to come back from 2-0 down and to get a draw to 2-2 at Old Trafford. Rashford with an unbelievable header. Sancho showing more sharpness on his comeback and managed to get a goal as well, and a pretty decent performance, which I'll get into a bit further. Firstly, I can't help but feel a little bit empty inside and left like we should have got more from that game, to be honest. Leeds have been poor all season. They've only had one away win all season, and that was at Anfield, obviously. But they've almost nicked a win at Old Trafford as well. New manager bounce, maybe. They came out of the traps flying, especially in the first half, and then the second half as well at the beginning. And unfortunately, we've been caught lacking. We've been caught sleeping. It's very frustrating, to be honest. Feels like 2 points dropped despite the comeback. Let's get into the game. Looking at the starting lineup before the game, I was a bit concerned that Diego Dalot was starting because obviously he's clearly not match fit. He hasn't started in a long time. He's been injured for a while. I was surprised that Aaron Wan-Bissaka wasn't in the squad, but I think I heard he was ill. But Ten Hag's tested out Malacia before a right back, especially against Nonto, who's very sharp, who's very direct, very nippy as well, probably Leeds' best player. So it's a bit of a risk playing Dalot maybe. And Malacia is in pretty decent form as well, and he's sharp right now. And other than that, the starting lineup was pretty self-explanatory. No Casemiro, no Eriksen, no Wan-Bissaka, so it made sense. Sabitzer and Fred in midfield. Sabitzer getting his first start for United. Let's get into the positives first. We'll get into the negatives after. Positives of the game first. Despite going into the first half 1-0 down pretty early on, I think it was in 55 seconds, the first 10 minutes we weren't great, but after that I thought we were creating a lot of chances, maybe not clear-cut chances, but some decent chances. I think Garnacho had a few decent chances. Bruno set him up twice. Wasn't the easiest of chances, wasn't the clearest of chances, but we were getting to the byline, we were putting it across on the floor, and we were creating some decent openings, especially after the first 10-15 minutes. So I thought that was good. We're creating a lot. Obviously, we went a goal down, was trying to get a goal back. I thought Garnacho was a constant threat throughout the whole time that he was on the pitch. Maybe it kind of died down a little once he put out onto the right in the second half, but it made sense because obviously Rashford deserved a chance on the left, and we all know how dangerous Rashford is on the left. I thought Sabitzer for his first game, for his first 90 minutes for the club, or 80 minutes or whatever he played, I thought it was a very assured performance, got himself about, showed some good technicality on the ball, made a few nippy passes, maybe didn't quite have the chemistry yet with his teammates, which is understandable. And it's his first game in the Prem starting, or at least 80 minutes. And it's against a very energetic Leeds side. And I think he did well. I'm not going to say he was amazing, but I think he did well. And it's obviously a test. And I'm assuming this game is a lot faster than any of the games that he's going to play for Bayern Munich. But probably similar to the Leipzig games that he played as captain. But he's obviously not clearly 100% match fit, but I think he did well. I think he played the 6th role, not to the greatest of abilities, but when you're comparing it to Casemiro and what we've seen this season with Casemiro, it's obviously going to be a major difference. I just think Fred and Sabitzer didn't really have the best partnership. It seemed as though usually Casemiro was the one to stay back, but Fred and Sabitzer were kind of interchanging, but it didn't really work. They were both kind of pressing at the same time or pushing forward at the same time, which I don't think is Ten Hag's plan. There's usually 1-6, usually mostly sitting, and another 8 doing up and down. And that didn't really pan out today. Other than that, I think Martinez, his intensity defensively and in terms of tackling and in terms of passing it through and breaking lines, hitting the man, finding a pass with speed and accuracy. We need more of that. And usually I think Varane's a bit better than that on the ball. Today, not so much. Weren't really nipping it in too much. We'll take it on to Rashford's goal. The first goal before we came back. And wow. Marcus Rashford, what more can we say about the guy? I think he scored in 6 Premier League home games in a row. The first time since Wayne Rooney a decade ago. He scored 15 goals in 20 games, in his last 20 games. But let's just talk about that goal, yeah? That header was insane. And we didn't see Weghorst do that throughout the whole game. Maybe Weghorst can say that he didn't get the service. But that Rashford goal, great cross from Dalot, by the way. Probably Dalot's only good cross in the game, to be honest. It was good play from Sabitzer to find Pellistri as well. Good hold up from Pellistri to find Dalot. Dalot's cross. I know he's had a lot of time to see that in the air, but so have all the Leeds defenders. To get the timing on the jump, the accuracy of the header, the power of the header, the direction, that was sensational goal from Rashford. And really, someone needs to test what the hell Rashford's been eating or drinking or taking, because that goal was genuinely phenomenal. A phenomenal header. You think about trademark guys that can header the ball, yeah? Guys like Alan Shearer, maybe even Ruud van Nistelrooy. That header was up there with some of the best headers that we've seen in the Premier League. It was sensational header. Unbelievable. What more can we say about Rashi? Even in the second half, to be honest, I thought once he stepped out onto the left, I don't know. On the right-hand side, I don't think he was that effective. On the left-hand side, a little bit more effective. But in the middle today, and even in the last few games, he seems to be more and more dominant as a striker, as a forward in the middle, rather than on the wings. I don't know what you guys think, let me know, but genuinely, he's becoming a major, major threat down the middle. And that's not something a lot of us probably thought back in the day. But he's finishing, he's heading, he's hold-up play, he's running in behind guys, he's dribbling, his pace, his strength. He looks like almost a complete package up front right now. And he provided a lot more than Weghorst did, to be honest. Other than Rashford, we take it on to Sancho. And I liked it, man. I liked it a lot. When Sancho came on, I've been a bit critical of him in the past, especially last season, because obviously he's been here for, 2 years now. This was definitely one of his better games that I've seen in the United shirt, especially on the ball. His close control was very good. His decision-making was a lot better. He's finding great little incisive passes, good little 1-2s, holding on to the ball, made the right decision, knew when to dribble, knew when to pass it back, knew when to play a 1-2. And then the goal he's done, very, very composed of him. And you could see he was a bit on edge. You could see he was a little bit nervy still, was a bit unsure, maybe of when to take on his man or when to release it. But I feel like he was getting the rub of the green a little as well. He was getting the luck on his side, and I'm hoping things continue to go up. Yes, you could say that the keeper should have saved his shot, but his determination and his drive and the confidence to do the little 1-2, to dribble and hold on to the ball, hold off a defender, take off the shot, and he got a goal. And you can see that the whole of Old Trafford was almost exploded at that moment. Everyone was so happy for Sancho. So I'm hoping for more of that from Sancho. And we've got another problem because that's Sancho down the left. So what? Sancho, Garnacho, Rashford, all better down the left? That's a major, major problem. A good problem nonetheless, but going to be hard to be fitting them all in down the left, obviously. But yeah, Sancho, can't wait to see more from Sancho. I'm hoping he turns up for the rest of the season. It's almost like a new signing. Other than that, the rest of the positives, it's hard to find because that game was very scrappy. And I guess the main positive would have to be that the team spirit to come back from 2-0 down, to get a point at least. Yes, it's Leeds. Yes, it's a poor Leeds side. But to get a point at least from 2-0 down isn't easy in the Premier League. It's not easy. We could have easily lost that game. But we've come back and we've got the draw. Let's be a bit more realistic and let's take it on to the negatives because there's a few things I want to get through. And to concede a goal in the first 55 seconds is criminal. absolutely criminal to be conceding to this Leeds side within a minute. And you can blame Bruno, you can blame Dalot, you can blame Varane, you can blame De Gea. I don't know who you want to blame, but you're going to have to think that this is a team lapse in error, a team lack of sharpness. And this has happened in previous games as well. There are a few games that we come out slow from the beginning of the half or the beginning of the second half. It's happened in other games before as well. And I don't know what it is. It's a lack of judgment on our heels. We're not on our toes. And Bruno Fernandes, look, let me get into it right now. Bruno Fernandes, in our own half, there's some serious questions surrounding him. His decision-making and his accuracy on the ball in our own half needs to take serious look at, because I've seen it a few times in a few games. Whenever he's in our half, he makes some stupid passes, some stupid decisions. Even like, for example, today, there was one point where he tried to keep the ball in and he's just giving it to the Leeds player just to keep the ball in. If in doubt, let it out. If the ball's going out, let it go out. Don't start passing it back to the Leeds player, and he's ended up giving it to Nonto. And that's not even the goal. The goal, he's trying to hold on to the ball, he's on his heels, he's trying to claim a free kick, he's ended up giving it away, and we've been punished by Nonto, which, by the way, was a fantastic goal, let's be real. The close dribbling, the quick free touches, and then the shot quickly with power straight into the corner. That was a great goal, to be honest. And we got to watch out for Nonto, because I think a bigger team is probably going to sign him up. That kid is dangerous. So nippy, so sharp, very technical, very good at dribbling on the ball. And he gave Dalot a very tough game, to be honest, especially for Dalot to come back into his first game in a while. He gave him a very tough game. And that's why I was questioning Ten Hag. Was this the correct game for Ten Hag to bring Dalot in? I'm not so sure. Maybe it should have been Malacia, because he's very sharp at the moment, Malacia. But obviously that's easy to say for me in hindsight. But that was the goal. And even from that goal, Varane was backing off. Varane got caught, dragged out by Bamford, I think. Martinez was backing off, which you don't see him usually do. I think Nonto just took the shot so quickly, and the team was so asleep or unaware that this kid is dangerous that we got punished. It's plain and simple. And from there, it was an uphill battle a little, because even after that, the next 10 minutes, Leeds were all over us. And I don't know what that is, new manager bounce or just energy or release from the shackles, but genuinely, the first 10 minutes of that game, they were all over us. We had to ride the wave a little, and I'm glad we did after. Just quickly though, although I'm criticising Bruno, there is one thing I noticed, and the reason why he's in these defensive positions down the right-hand side, I noticed because he was actually covering Rashford. And I think this might be a Ten Hag tactic, because I noticed it a few times throughout the game. Rashford stays up front or stays right on the last man on the right-hand side, and Bruno comes back to cover that right-hand side from his number 10 position. So it's obviously hard to balance a team. And I noticed this even when in the second half, when Garnacho was in the right wing, Garnacho was left right on the last man on the right hand side, and Bruno was coming back to cover him. And it happened a few times even when Pelestri was there. So yes, it's easy to criticise Bruno and him giving the ball away, but you could argue that maybe he's got too much responsibility. He's got to come from his number 10 position, cam position, just to come back and cover for the right winger's job, really, in reality. But that's Ten Hag's decision, and I understand it. And Bruno's obviously got the work rate for it. Fair enough. But in general, I think Diego Dalot was quite sloppy throughout the game. And before I go into Leeds' second goal, I genuinely thought Fred did not give a good account of himself throughout the whole game. Fred's been on decent form, don't get me wrong, and I don't want to be too harsh on him, because we all know Fred's limitations. But genuinely, today, he had a chance to stand up and make his position count, fight for his position, show the team and show the fans and show Ten Hag why you deserve to be starting in that team, whether Eriksen comes back or not. And genuinely, Fred showed once again, he's not that guy. And yes, most of us have known that, but you expected a little bit better from Fred today, no? He just looks like a headless chicken. He's running all over the pitch, couldn't focus on his position, couldn't keep the ball I don't know how many times Fred gave the ball away today, but it was abysmal. This is Leeds. They're what, 15th, 16th, 17th place in the table? Fred looked like he was part of the Leeds team. It just wasn't good enough. I don't know how many times he gave the ball away, but it genuinely wasn't good enough. And even his passes, like, they were going up in the air. He was looping it off his shin, putting it out for throws. It just wasn't good enough. And Sabitzer is his first game, first start for us, and he looked miles ahead of Fred, to be honest. And I'm not even saying Sabitzer was amazing, but he looked miles ahead of Fred. It was just very frustrating for Fred. And it's just like, you are what you are. You're a good backup player on the bench. You're better when we're winning and you come on to try hold the game out. He's probably better against a team where we're not dominating possession. When we're dominating possession, you cannot have Fred in that team. But obviously, we've got a lack of options right now, so I can't blame Ten Hag too much, sorry. Then we take it on to Leeds' second goal, straight out of the second half. So many times we do this, especially in second halves. We come out of half time and the team is always half asleep. I don't know why this keeps happening. And Ten Hag really needs to address this issue because it's happened far too many times this season. Yeah, so this is one thing. I don't often criticize Varane, especially this season. But despite, obviously, Dalot was getting punished, yeah, by Nonto. And Nonto was very sharp, as I've said. But Varane's cover of Dalot today, of following the second run, after Nonto passes it off, maybe Nonto does a little dribble, takes on Dalot, and then he cuts inside and he passes it back down the line, and Leeds have a second player from midfield running past Dalot. Varane's cover was a bit slow today. I don't know what you guys think. He wasn't getting sharp enough, and that's how Leeds scored, you know, because if you look at Somerville, I think it was Somerville, Nonto passes it off to Somerville. Varane's too far from Somerville. And that's why he's ended up letting the scoring an own goal. If he was closer to Somerville, he probably would have blocked that cross and it goes out for a corner. Because he's not quick enough to react, he was too far off. Somerville and that happened a few times throughout the game. He was too far off that second runner off the winger. And usually he's a bit sharper, I thought. And today he just looked a bit slow. I don't know why that was. Maybe it was just an off game. Obviously, Varane has had an illustrious career, so we can forgive him for that. But he was just a bit slow today, and you can see we got punished for it. And obviously, he wasn't really helped by maybe, I don't know, maybe a midfielder should be following that run. Possibly Bruno Fernandes, maybe Sabitzer, maybe Fred should have been following that second run. But I don't know, Varane probably should have been a bit sharper today. In general, I think the second half, another criticism probably would be, I think we had 25 shots throughout the whole game and only 6 on target. And I think most of those 6 came on in the second half after Weghorst has gone off. Why are we crossing the ball more in the second half when Weghorst ain't even in the box? We're trying to play to Weghorst's feet. The guy's a massive lump. And to be honest, Weghorst wasn't that great today. Couldn't hold on to the ball. Made a few decent runs, but it didn't really stick with him. We should be lumping it into Weghorst more often. Anyway, let's get into the match roundup. And if I was to give a man of the match, on our side at least, because you could argue Leeds player was man of the match. I don't know who officially got man of the match. But from our side, I think it's got to be Rashford, to be honest. Maybe even Sancho, you could argue. But genuinely, Rashford, when he went to that striker's position, I don't know what clicked into him, but he looked like a different animal, an absolute beast. The form and confidence he's on right now is remarkable. And I can't wait to see him more from Rashford. I'm hoping he hits that 30 goal mark. I think he's got 20 goals this season now in all comps, if I'm not mistaken. And that's not including the England goals. So hopefully more to come from Rashford. I'm going to give my Man United man of the match at least to Marcus Rashford. I'm sure some of you might even give to Sancho. And I wouldn't blame you, to be honest, because genuinely, he looked very good when he came on. And I'm gassed for Sancho. I hope there's more to come from Sancho. But in general, from this match, you can see that there's a clear difference of how we play or how stable we look when Casemiro isn't playing. I think out of the 5 games that Casemiro hasn't played this season, we've lost 3, we've drawn 1, and we've only won 1. And it's just a shame how reliable we are on him already. And it's only his first season. How are we so reliant on him already? And Yes, he's one of the best CDMs of all time, probably. Definitely one of the best CDMs in the world right now. But come on, guys. It's Leeds United. We should be better than that. We should be more stable than that. Sabitzer and Fred should have been in more control than that in the midfield. Leeds were getting through our midfield so easily, so many times throughout that game. It was very frustrating. Looking ahead, we've got Leeds again away from home on Sunday, 4:30 p.m. Is it 4? I think it's 2 p.m. Sorry. New manager bounce once again, and it's at Ellen Road. They're going to be rocking up there. After today's performance, I'm a bit worried. I'm not going to lie. I had so much confidence in today's game. I thought we was going to win 3-0, and that didn't happen. So looking at Ellen Road, I'm a slightly more nervous now. But I also can't be too critical on the boys, nor can I be too critical on Ten Hag, because realistically, we don't have a lot of strength in depth. I heard someone on another podcast say, we have a lot of depth in depth. Shout out Carl Anker from The Athletic, by the way. I think he said that. But we don't have a lot of strength in depth. And we are hit by injuries. We're hit by the Casemiro suspension. But still, we should be beating this Leeds side. Realistically, we should be beating them. Anyway, 2 points dropped, but we've come back from 2-0 down to get a 2-2. Rashford scored an unbelievable goal, still looks sharp. Sancho looks like he's going to hopefully become the player that we all want to see. And if you look at how Ten Hag's turned Rashford's career around this season, we can try and expect the same thing for Sancho. And you remember when Rashford started at the beginning of the season, he wasn't firing like this, but you could see some sharpness in his body movement and his body language. I think we've seen that from Sancho in the last, obviously in very limited amount of minutes, but in the last 2 appearances that he's made, we're starting to see that same kind of thing that Rashford was showing at the beginning of the season. And to top it off, he's got a goal as well, so that's obviously going to give him the world of confidence. Anyway, boys and girls, let me know what you thought in the comments. Like the video, please. It helps a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've got a special video coming out this weekend before, hopefully, the Leeds match reaction. It's going to be something to do with Spain. I'm going to be out in Spain, so watch out for that one as well. It's going to be a match vlog. Hopefully, it's going to be pretty cool. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Man United have dropped 2 points, but we've also come back from 2-0 down. I'm your host, Adnan. This is the Between the Lines podcast. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. See you this weekend. Peace out. Between the Lines.